You are watching Joseph TV Show.
The greatest genius when it came to the building of the pyramids, do you know what
Those are white people, by the way.
Who are white people?
The Egyptians are not African. I'm sorry.
Do you know where Egypt is?
Yes, it's in
Where?
North Africa.
Okay, stop. You stop right there. You just said that you said the Egyptians are not African.
Are white South Africans
No,
African?
wait.
Egypt was an amazing civilization.
No,
it was not created by black Africans. I'm sorry.
It wasn't? Who created it?
People who are white.
How are people?
You can look actually look at art and they differentiate between races.
I got to ask you a question. How do you...
From ancient Egyptian art.
You do know those were black people. You do know...
They weren't.
You do know from science you can't get black from white. You can get white from black. You do know when it comes to evolution.
What?
When it comes...
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Dude, you never studied science?
I see what you're... Yes, I have.
No, so, but
I'm not a scientist, are you?
But man originated in Africa. Yes or no?
That is a consensus, yes.
Okay, so if man originated in Africa, which means that they were Africans, then all of a sudden when you talk about the amazing works of the Egyptians, they were people of color. I know that's a little rough for you to handle, but I know you want to hold on to that, somehow thinking whites built the pyramids, but I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, we did.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't, because first of all, they were building things in Egypt while white Europeans were still in caves. That's a fact.
That's
a fact. Okay.
Africans, do you know why the main goal of colonization was to totally depopulate and involuntarily mix the entire African continent in order to repopulate it with other races? Well, I have a message for black people. So if you're not black, you can stay. But if you're black, I want you to listen and listen good. The reason why history repeats itself is because the world is cyclic and whatever goes around must come back around. There was a time that Africa ruled Europe for 800 years. And when I say ruled, I don't mean with guns and ammunition, but with knowledge, love, light, and black excellence. So now, I want you, black child, to know that we have cycled back to that time. A time when the kingdom of God belongs to the poor and the slaves, and mine is just to curtain raise. Yours is to step into your awareness of self. Yours is to go back within and get into union with your ancestors, your DNA. Get your ancestral membership back and remember all that you are. Because among you are the descendants of the likes of Mansa Musa, kings, queens. Among you are the DNA of the Talai, the tribe of the Lion of Judah. Among you are the inventors of the hieroglyphics. Among you are the architectures of the great pyramids, the incredible mathematics of the Ishango bone. Among you are the DNA of the Moors, the teachers of all modern European technology. Among you are the DNA that mentored great European philosophers like Pythagoras. As a black person, the DNA of slavery and colonization is not the only DNA that you carry, and they know that. The ancient, great African civilization is still present and imprinted deep in your soul. They can ban all the books and ruin all the universities, but your DNA is present. Your memory is present. Your ancestral knowledge is present deep in your soul and is yours forever. All I want to say is that there was a time they wanted to wipe you all off or mix you all up, so there was no one left to remember. There was a time that remembering who you are would have been a great crime, and so the ancestors had you forget to protect you. But I'm here to assure you that it is now safe to remember the African royalties among you. It is time for black people to experience the excellence of their own blackness. It is time to awaken the extreme talents and excellence that are deeply rooted within you. It is now safe to show the world who you are. Go within and remember. Join into one with your ancestors.
This will get me canceled or not. So basically, the past 24 hours has been one of the most enlightening, healing, positive 24 hours of my life. The black community really took in us gingers. We're like, we got you. And they gave us a big bear hug and said, you're going to heal things you didn't know you needed to heal. And I couldn't be more appreciative. Like, from the bottom of my heart, everyone that left comments, like, I tried to reply to all of them. From the bottom of my heart, it means the world to me. Here's my thing. I study politics, I study racial disparity, I study, gender and social justice and what that looks like within law and like government. That's my area of like knowledge. So this is a two-way street. The Black community has taken gingers, adopted us, and loved us unconditionally now. Now it's our turn to love back. And I think we are in a very unique hold on. This is not unique. What is happening right now, the racial disparities, that's not unique. That's always been happening. Let me preface that. But we are in a unique position with this, Black community, ginger community coalescence, this mixture, that we can now use that. We can use that collective, mobilize from that collective, and now it's our turn to get you. You know what I mean? You loved us, let me show you love. I got you. I support you. Like, ride or die type shit. You feel me? Like, we got an opportunity here. And I know everyone's being evasive about the culture shit, but man, everything is political. Everything. I'm sure if the president had stubbed his pinky toe too hard and it was slightly off white, he'd deport it. So we have a really unique opportunity right now with this media thing going on to mobilize that. And I wanted to kind of let everyone know that, like, from the bottom of my heart, I'm so appreciative and that I got you. And I actively try to, whether it's me doing my research thesis or my, doing my research on my grants, I promise I always try to include your lived experience. And if you have any other suggestions on how the ginger community can be of service, because you guys have done so much for us in the past few days, we are going to, create a safe space for that. Alright? Don't fuck with the fucking bullshit. You don't do the bullshit. Fuck the bullshit.
I'm from South Africa. It is true people here don't like how dirty you are. I'm not dirty, I'm being black. I'm just black. Is being black dirty? That's what colonizers told you. That being black is dirty. That why all of you are white? Is it?
I've lived in 5 different countries in Africa. I've lived in Malawi, Botswana, Zambia, Morocco, and Nigeria. I've also traveled extensively in South Africa, Zimbabwe, Namibia, and Egypt. Never once in all my years of living or traveling on the African continent have I been mistreated in any way because of my ethnicity, because of my skin color. And this is in spite of the fact that I come from a country who are guilty for some of the worst colonial crimes ever inflicted throughout human history. That's right, I was born in Great Britain. And without doubt, the British and the French committed the greatest atrocities across the continent of Africa. The Belgians have a good claim for the greatest atrocity in their treatment of the Congolese, but if one looks at it as an entity and the number of countries that were invaded by the British and French colonialists, one will see that they are the worst protagonists. Despite this, and despite the behavior of my ancestors, I have never been mistreated. In fact, I have been welcomed warmly in all of the countries I have lived in or visited. And when in Africa, I don't cocoon myself in some enclave dome which is inhabited by people who like to refer to themselves as expats. I hate that term. But no, I integrate as much as possible within local society. I will go to a shebeen. I will go to any compound and experience life as it is for people in the country where I am based. So whether that's in the village, whether it's in the township, whether it's in the local bar, I will integrate, I will mix, and I am always made welcome. Now contrast that with the way many Africans are treated when they choose to live in the United Kingdom or France or other parts of Europe. The difference is incredible. The everyday racism experienced by African people on the European continent is a crime against humanity. Now, there are different types of racism. The most obvious is the day-to-day experience that an African will have whilst living in parts of Europe. The name calling, the staring, the subtle discrimination. And for many Africans, they will just brush it off because it is so common that they just get used to it, sadly. Worse, though, is the institutional and structural racism that Africans have to abide with. The restrictions on their movements, the fact that most passports emulating from the African continent will only allow Africans to travel visa-free to a handful of countries. And most of those will be other African countries or countries in the Caribbean. And moreover, the difficulty that Africans have finding work in Europe is unimaginable. People who are qualified as doctors, accountants, lawyers, university lecturers, nurses, teachers do not have their qualifications and experiences recognized by most European countries. I know many people from Africa working in various parts of Europe as security guards or as care assistants when back home they had highly skilled professional jobs. But that experience is rarely recognized when they come to Europe unless they come as part of a transfer with an existing company. But if they come because they've migrated to Europe, their chances of accessing the sort of job which they are eminently capable of is slim. Now, if a black person was making this video, they would be quickly dismissed. They'd be dismissed as having an axe to grind or always trying to find problems. And again, that's part of racism. The fact that I can speak because of my white privilege means that I have a duty to do so, not because I'm married to an African woman or because I have many African friends, but because I like to think I'm a decent human being who appreciates the value in every person on our planet. I've lived in 5 different countries in Africa.
President Trump sought to overturn the results of an election, and of a fair election. He sought a coup by misleading people with lies. My father and our neighbors were misled also with lies, and I know where such lies lead. President Trump is a failed leader. He will go down in history as the worst president ever. The good thing is that he soon will be as irrelevant as an old tweet. But what are we to make of those elected officials who have enabled his lies and his treachery? I will remind them of what Teddy Roosevelt said. Patriotism means to stand by the country. It does not mean to stand by the president.
African countries welcomed white people in when white people forced their way in, colonized much of the continent, committed genocide, mass unalivings, resource extraction and destruction, slavery, forced labor of the native Africans. This can't be a real question. African countries welcomed white people in when white people forced their way in, colonized much of the continent,